morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 4th June and let's see what we have got in the Hindu today. APJ Abdul Kalam has said that you have to dream before your dreams can come true. What do you understand by this statement? What do you make of this statement? I'm sure we all have our own unique way of going through or comprehending this type of quote. So I will be very happy if you can share your opinion on or your understanding of this particular quote. With this, dear friends, we have many important articles to go through. This one is about fuel price rising up and things associated with it. There are some important items like excise duty, VAT and other things that you find in this article. We'll go through it in detail. This one is about fire without smoke. It is about WHO and tobacco consumption in our country. Where do we stand? And we will also discuss one thing that is not mentioned here. We will talk about a stakeholder. I believe that to protect this particular stakeholder, we are not taking that strict action as far as tobacco is concerned. This article is about opposition parties unifying and fighting against the ruling party. This article is written by a person who is associated with Congress party. So, of course, what we find in this article is that the views are going to be opposite to BJP. Now, the thing is, dear friends, rather than me providing you an opinion on this article, I will reckon you guys to go through it. It's an easy read. You will find a couple of important items. Like in yesterday's Civil Services Examination paper, there was a question associated with the Lok Sabha and Swatantrata Party. You will find mention of Swatantrata Party here. You will find mention of Nelson Mandela. So a bit of history will be covered here. It's not directly associated with your examination, but you can have a quick glance over this article. At the end of the day, this article is talking about all different parties, right? Nowadays we hear this thing in news that all different parties are going to unify. Opposition parties, of course, they are going to be one and they are going to take over, or they are going to fight against BJP in this upcoming state elections as well as general election that is going to take place in 2019. This one is a very interesting article. It is about federalism that's not cooperative. It's basically talking about this Finance Commission. We have talked about Finance Commission earlier on as well. We have gone through, I think, 4 or 5 articles that were written by people who were part of 14th or 13th Finance Commission, people who have worked at various different levels in government. So we have gone through and analyzed already what's the problem going on with this 15th Finance Commission. There are some important points. We'll go through that thing as well. This one is about journalism. You can drop this one or you can have a quick glance over it. And this one is about post-democracy, things that we are facing or things to which we are going at present. So, of course, political items. So let's move on, dear friends, and before moving ahead, I would like to inform all of you that at present a 50% discount is available on our pen drive and tablet courses. On your screen you can see that we cover SSC and bank courses, UPSC, NABARD, RBI, professional courses are covered by us. We cover many state level exams as well, State Public Service Commission exams. And we have law exams, we have got a test series for you, defense exams are there, optional courses for you, UPSC is being covered by us, railway courses and much more you will find on StudyIQ.com. If you have any question or queries, you can feel free and give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. One thing that I would like to add here is that all our courses are designed by best faculties of our country. So the quality of item that you are going to get from our pen drive and tablet courses is going to be of top of the range. With this, if you want to get in touch with me, this is my Facebook page and this is my Twitter handle. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you have learned something from today's discussion, hit the like button underneath this particular video and do share this lecture with other people as well. Now, fuel fractions. At present, we all are facing this heat of fuel prices going up. Now, we have talked about this thing. For new listeners, I would like to say that just imagine, just take this example. When fuel prices go up, right, your transportation cost will go up. So your food items and all necessary items which are transported by either waterways, railways or roadways or maybe airways, right, everything will go up. Your transportation cost, say for example your ticket fares, right, railways, you know that we don't adjust ticket rates as means when prices go up, tickets do not go up, but this will of course reduce this savings or profit of our railways. And once railway is not making that much money, or if it is suffering, right, then it is going to hamper our whole economy. Same thing applies with other transportation modes as well. So high fuel prices at present are a matter of concern for the country as well as people of our country. And the problem is that taxes, particularly on this fuels, are quite high in our country, right? Now the thing is, BJP is going to face election in many different states in near future, and it is also the country is going to face this general election in 2019. So reducing this fuel price is a bit of pressure on a BJP or ruling government, and it's not just about central government, it is also about different state governments as well. If they want to make sure that this pressure is not thrown on people of our country, if they want to see development taking place, then they have to do something about this fuel prices. Of course, this also reminds us that we need to work on electronic vehicles. Of course, now we can say, for example, reduce our tax rates or excise duty that is applied on fuel by central government. This is called central excise duty. Now let me take you through this basic definition of excise duty. It is a type of indirect tax. Remember, it is an indirect tax on goods that are manufactured in our country. It applies on goods. Remember, goods and not services. So it is an indirect tax. I'm repeating again myself here so that you, I believe, will get more clarity on this thing. I'm breaking it down as much as I can. It's first of all indirect tax. The second thing is it is applied on goods. And the third thing that is very important is goods or products that are manufactured in our country. So all this petrol, basically we import crude oil and then we refine here, and then it is sold in different parts of our country. To find out more about excise, if you are interested to know more about it, then you have this extra information that will help you. You can help yourself with it once you download this file, right? Now the problem what we are finding here is that if we go back in 2014, at that point of time, this Brent crude oil price was very down. It was somewhere around $40 and $45 per barrel, which is nearly half of what we are paying at present. So at that point of time, the price of petrol was really down. And rather than reducing or adjusting it as per global prices, what government did is government never changed the price of this diesel and petrol that we are purchasing. It has always been somewhere around 70 rupees, isn't it? Somewhere between 65 and 75 depending on different states. Now we'll go through it as well, why different states have different prices. First of all, remember that even today we have got goods and service tax is out there. It is rolled out. GST is there, but there are many items like alcohol. Then you have this fuel, right? Fuel is not part of GST regime. It is still, as you can see, excise duty is applied by central government. And if you go to different states, then we find that different states, they do levy different rates of value added tax on this fuels that we find in different parts of our country. So back in November 2014, the price of this fuel was very down, and government raised the price at that point of time as well. In all, the government raised the central excise duty by 11.77 on petrol and 13.47 on diesel. And when the prices were going up back in 2017, October 2017, a 2 rupees cut was made on this fuel. So you can see here you are raising 11.77 and then you are giving 2 rupees cut. So we can say that there was a rise of 9.77, and this was the phase when the price of this Brent crude oil was down. Now we were talking about this state governments. So now state impose ad valorem. Ad valorem duties basically means many duties on this fuel products. It is as high as 39.27% in Maharashtra, and on an average 26%. So if you are paying 80 rupees, right, then you can take out 26% of 80 and you will find that this much tax you are paying on an average, right? Your state government is charging 26% of what you are paying. Now this is a sort of easy revenue for different states, right? They get huge amount of money from this fuel VAT, that is value added tax that is levied by different states on this fuel. But the problem is that when it comes to when it comes to this inflation, or when we talk about things getting expensive, hardly states do take notice of this thing. Means, of course, they know that the price will go up, but why can't they, if on one side they are saying that they want to make it sink, or they want to sink fuel prices with international market, if that is the case, right, then why don't you decrease the price when the prices are going down? Dharmendra Pradhan, back in time 2 years ago, he said that the government is not reducing this price of petrol even though Brent crude oil is down, because when the price will go up, it does not want to create a big shock in economy. Yes, this is something that we can understand, but there should be a little bit of relief given to people. This will, what happens is that if people are saving a little bit of money, then that will go in their saving account, or either they will spend that money on something in the market. So in this way, people will see a sort of a rise in demand or private consumption. So this is going to be beneficial for the whole economy as well. But when price goes up, it will spike inflation. The trade deficit will get widened. GDP growth can come down, it will get hampered, and it will put more pressure on Indian rupee as well, because we have to pay more money will be going out. SBI, that is State Bank of India, did a research report, and it came out with a research report, and it reckons that this diesel price and petrol price can be brought down. Diesel can be brought down by 3.75 and petrol can be brought down by 5.75 per liter. Can you believe this thing? Because we can reduce this thing only if the state governments, right, they start excluding this excise duty and then apply this 39 or 26%. So I hope things are clear. Basically what is happening at present, let me break it down for you. That say for example the price is 100 rupees and now you have 50 rupees is excise duty, right, 50%, say for example, so the price is 150 rupees. Now, rather than applying VAT on this 100, what state governments are doing, they are applying tax on 150 rupees, right? So it is basically, you can say, 2 times we are paying tax, and this is something that is not right at all. Other thing we have to keep in mind that GST collection has gone up, so we need to consider this thing as well, that we can gradually work on this thing and we can bring this fuel under this GST regime. Another editorial is about fire without smoke. Now, World Health Organization came out with this report or big picture of things going on around the world as far as this tobacco is concerned, because May 31 is celebrated as World No Tobacco Day. Now, as far as cigarettes are concerned or smoking tobacco is concerned, we have seen that our strategy has worked. Awareness campaign, when we go to watch a movie, in radio, in newspapers, right, we find many a times this advertisement that cigarette smoking kills and etc. On packets as well, we find this big advertisement of very you can say horrific pictures, right, this pictorial warning, that's what it is called. So this thing has helped us, no doubt. In 2000 there was a figure of 19.4%, right, of our country, people from our country, like 19.4% they used to smoke. It is down 2015 to 11.5, and it is believed that our target, that's what we are trying to achieve by 2025, it can drop to 8.5%. Now, the big problem for our country is not smoking tobacco, it is this smokeless tobacco, that is this chewing tobacco. This is a big problem in our country. 66% of world's smokeless tobacco users are living in our country. The food safety rules that we have, at present, the rules that we have, they have a big loophole in it. What it bans this gutkhas and other items which are having some sort of flavor and other things, right? This sort of things are banned by this food safety rules. But what about unflavored items like khanis and surthis? These things are basically escaping this filter of food safety rules. And because of this thing, we find people in different parts of our country. If you go there, you will find pawn shops and people are eating and chewing tobacco, right? And the big problem that we find from this thing, that is hardly you find this sort of things are discussed in news as well. It is about spitting, right? People spitting here and there, and this is creating, means even today if you Google this thing, you won't find that many reports, because still we have not done exclusive research on this spitting issue that is in our country. It is creating huge amount of communicable diseases are spread, people spitting here and there, and because of this thing as well we find many diseases. And so this is a big problem for our country as far as beautification is concerned. It destroys the beauty of our country. I'm sure you have seen this thing in your part of our country as well, that you go to many buildings, you find pictures of gods and goddesses in the corner, and it is a matter of shame that we have to stick this sort of pictures just to stop people not to spit in the corner. I don't know from where people have developed this habit of spitting in a building. This is absolutely not civilized at all, right? And now what we find is that these big companies, what they are doing is they are adding this cardamom and saffron, right? You might have heard about or watched this advertisement, Zuba Kesari or something. It's about Ajay Devgan and talking about. So there are so many products out there. They are very addictive, right? Once people start consuming it, they will get addicted to it, and this is of course not healthy at all. Now, I told you that we will talk about one stakeholder, and the stakeholder here is farmer, right? See, the problem is, we know that tobacco is not helpful at all. There are people out there, I have heard saying them that a little bit of tobacco is good for digestion and health, but still I have not came across any scientific evidence to this item. If you have, then please do share it with me. Now the thing is, I think we are concerned about, or the government is concerned about, this farmers who are associated with tobacco farming. The only solution to this thing is that if we want to reduce this consumption of tobacco, then gradually we have to diversify these farmers. We have to work on the supply side. We have to diversify our farmers. If they can make same amount of money or little bit extra than what they are making from tobacco, then they would be more than happy to shift or diversify their cropping pattern. The other thing is we have to work on the demand side as well. Just working on or just providing advertisement is not going to help. There are items in which like private businesses, right, in which government can take a decision, like tobacco and education. Like education is a thing that is a duty of government, and if government finds that education is not delivered, or proper delivery of education is not done by a private school, then it can intervene. In the same way, if people are going to get affected by this tobacco, we have kids in our country who are consuming tobacco and things like that. So to stop this thing, we have to get rid of this shops and other people or other places where you find this sort of items. Then they produce this plastic waste as well. They tie up this pan and other items in this plastic, and it is everywhere, right? This plastic of tobacco products is everywhere, and it is creating other pollutions as well. So we need to work on this thing. It may not look that serious at present, but it is creating troubles, huge amount of troubles in our country. Moving on to another item about a small Mauritian island. We are going to talk about this island called Agalega. Now this is part of this country called Mauritius. You find this type of questions many a times, right? They will give you name of a place and they will give you name of the country. It's basically match the following or pair. You have to identify the right, correct or incorrect pair. So here is Indian Ocean, and this is our country India, of course, and here you find this country called Mauritius. A couple of weeks ago, president of our country was in Mauritius. He visited Madagascar, and then he came back to our country. So this particular place was in news a couple of weeks ago. Then 2 months ago, I think it was in news, I think 2 months ago, somewhere around 2 months ago or 3 months ago, It was in news because of French president. He was here in our country and we talked about Indo-Pacific region. At that point of time, I told you about this reunion and other French island that you find in Indian Ocean. And this makes France a stakeholder in Indian Ocean. Now, this particular article is about India and Mauritius. Back in 2015, India and Mauritius together, we signed an agreement. And as per this agreement, Mauritius will allow India to develop infrastructure on this particular island called Agalega. Now, in Agalega, you have some 300 people living. So, when it comes to taking into account the interest of this 300 people and a country like India, then of course the government of this particular country, Mauritius, it is more inclined towards government. It is looking after the benefit of India rather than, at that point of time, it looked for the benefit that it can get from India rather than this 300 people living in this Agalega. Now, of course, we are Indian, but we are talking about geopolitics. It is also pertaining to environment as well, if you think from this angle. Now, this develop infrastructure is basically a good word, but the main mission of this agreement is that India can develop here a sort of military base, right, in this Agalega. As far as Mauritius is concerned, at that point of time, Mauritius was one of the main routes for foreign direct investment in our country. But back in 2016, I guess, 2015 or 16, we signed 16. Yes, we signed an agreement. We amended this treaty on taxes. This double tax avoidance treaty was amended, and after that, all this benefits or this tax haven benefits that investors used to get via this Mauritius route when they are investing their money in India via Mauritius, they used to get this, they used to save extra money because they don't have to pay tax in India if the company is located in Mauritius. But now this thing has been changed. So this benefit of giving this Agalega in turn of this FDI, because of this thing, Mauritius used to make huge amount of money. But now that is not going to take place because of this amendment, which will come into effect by 2019. So this is going to be a big loss for Mauritius. Now the other thing is you have other islands as well. You have this country called Seychelles here. And over there as well, we are building this sort of military base. And on this March 2018, this Mauritians, Rodrigans and Agalegans, people from all these three different islands, they came together and they talked about this Islanders Coalition for Peace. They termed this area, this Indian Ocean area, as Zone of Peace. And this was backed by 1970s non-aligned movement as well. If we go back in history, then we find the reference of Indian Ocean, and it is called Zone of Peace because all these problems that were going on between different countries like Russia, USA and other countries, right, they were more likely going on in Pacific and this Atlantic Ocean, but Indian Ocean has always been or was quiet, and this zone of peace was supported by United Nations General Assembly as well. It voted a resolution in 1971 on the declaration of the Indian Ocean as a zone of peace in 1971. But what we find now is we find this string of pearl developed by China. China has entered in Indian Ocean, and we are engaging with different countries like Australia, USA, Japan. Let's talk about USA. USA already have a small island here, right? Here they have got it from British got it from Mauritius, and British on a long-term lease they have given it to USA. So USA, they do have their military base here in Indian Ocean. Apart from that, if we talk about, normally we talk about this China's string of pearls, and I'm sure you know about Hambantota and Gwadar and this Djibouti and other places. But when we talk about USA's string of pearls, then from here, Bahrain to all the way to Singapore, USA is also having different, you can say, military base in Indian Ocean. And now India is expanding its military base in this part of the world. Australia is also working on the same thing. So once all these countries they enter here, and once they make this different military bases, it is going to be impossible for us to remove them. So together, India should be worried about this thing, this expansion of different countries or penetration of different country in Indian Ocean. It can create troubles for our country and all those countries who are living in this region of Indian Ocean region. So this stand taken by this Mauritians and Rodrigans and Egalagans, it is a very good stand, and I think we should support it as well, because we don't want all these big powerful players coming here and then making this Indian Ocean as their playground. Federalism, that's not cooperative. It is about this Union Finance Commission. Now if you go through this article, then it is talking about very quickly, it is talking about article 280 subsection 3 or subarticle 3, and it talks about this first three clauses. You have tax devolution, you have grants in aid, and then you have augmenting the resources of panchayats and municipalities. We are talking about this Union Finance Commission. One more advice for you guys, that go through, open your Lakshmikant or other book that you are using for polity, and go through this article 280 in detail. Go through this Finance Commission chapter and understand what is the role of Finance Commission and everything, right? This sort of self-study is something that you should be doing on regular basis. Now over the years, what we have seen that there has been one thing called any other matter. This any other matter is a big bone of contention, because using this any other matter, many times what we find is that central government or union government is trying to impose its own agenda on different states. Recently we saw this letter from open letter written by this Chief Minister of Kerala. There were 6 states, different states. They have come together and they have handed over a memorandum to President as well regarding this 15th Finance Commission. It is about this 2011 and 1971's population census. All those states that have worked hard to bring down their population, they are not going to, there is a fear that they are going to lose because of less population. So this sort of issues are going on. What we need is that we need all stakeholders to come on board, right? We can have a proper council. We should not leave this thing on union government to decide how much we are going to share. There should be a cooperation. If we are talking about real federalism, then we need state governments as well on board, and together we need to come out with a proper distribution of money or resources. Without it, you cannot expect that our Union of India can really be a union in true sense. Moving on to another item, this is about post-democracy. Now, the experience of recent years suggests that basic trust in the Indian democratic institutions is somewhat eroding. The problems that we have discussed earlier on as well, it's going to be a good revision. Supreme Court coming under scrutiny, lack of transparency in funding political party, EVM tampering, should we amend constitution, fairness in election, alliance of media, paid news and other things, insufficient separation of judiciary from the executive, populism and plutocracy. Plutocracy basically means government for the rich, by the rich, right? It is working for the rich, so it is called plutocracy. Now, a major characteristic of a populist regime, populist is a regime that is, that has came to power by raising or by, raising or giving this sort of, you can say, seeds in the hand of people, that people are going to, your religion is under threat, we are going to do this and that, all these promises. And it's not just about any particular party. You find this thing in it is done by every party in our country. And most of the time, all this populist government, right, they will project a strong popular mass leader who applies this linguistic, regional community sentiments, etc. These things will be thrown in the market or in the country, so people will, will be segmented. People will say that my language is in threat, so I will support this particular party and things like that. And they also come out with this anti-elite, that people making too much money, most of the people not having money, so this thing will change. We will not bow down to Pakistan and other countries. So we saw all these things like demonetization, surgical strike and Hindu nationhood. Achhe Din was more about a bright future, prosperous future, open market for cash, for vote, and everything is going on. So what we need to do now is that as people, right, as citizens, we have to use our own conscience, we have to use our own brain to make sure that we do not fall in trap of all this different various political parties. Political parties will do things that we want, right? If there is a way, if they are able to create this panic that X religion is going to kill Y religion people, so right, so if they are going to, if they are addressing this Y, and if they are able to create this fear, that's their victory, right? If they are able to create this fear in this Y community, that you will be killed by X and they will not look after you and things like that, so this Y people will of course vote for this sort of party. So we have to develop our own understanding. But there are many problems in our country, right? We have lack of education. Even polity is something that is not discussed that much. We do discuss items associated with newspaper, things we find in newspaper, but we don't discuss about core theory, and then we don't have that much comparative theories and other things available in our country, particularly in schools, right? It is not, that sort of interest has still not been created by our schools and education. Agni 5 is tested again. You'll find some important items regarding it over here. 2 Jawans are killed. It's been just 6 or 7 days for this ceasefire, and what we find is that Pakistan is using weapons against us. Curfew has been relaxed in Shillong. Navy has rescued 38 people from Socotra Island. This Mekunu cyclone devastated this Yemen island. I got a picture as well. Picture in the sense, I got a map for you guys here. This is Socotra here. That's where you find it. So this island belongs to Yemen. Keep this thing in mind. This picture is a very sad picture of an endangered species of stork. They are they are on this pile of garbage. Orissa Beach is going to get blue tag. It is going to be the first beach in our country to get this blue tag, and the blue tag was established in Copenhagen, based by a Foundation for Environment Education, FEE, in 1985. Then you have some international news items, right? And that's everything, dear friends. We are beaten by clock. I have 2 questions for you guys. They are static questions. It's going to be easy for you to handle them. And that's everything. Don't forget to check out StudyIQ.com to find out more about our pen drive and tablet courses. Make sure you keep your environment green and clean. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this lecture with your friends as well. Thank you very much for listening. Jai Hind.